Eugene, welcome to the Cave. Thank you for joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And how does it feel? Number one show on Netflix right now.
It feels surreal. It's an amazing feeling. I'm so completely grateful, and yeah, I'm on cloud nine.
There you go. Did you have any idea it was going to get this big right away?
Yeah, that's a really good question. When we were filming this, we all felt like that we were a part of something really special. I think even just from the get-go, from the moment we did our table read, actually getting the chills just thinking about it. It's Yeah, we just knew that this was a family. Like we all had a connection. And yeah, and then while we were filming, we could just we there was an energy for sure. So um, but being in the business for as long as I have, you want to allow those feelings to appreciate those feelings, but you're also wanting to protect yourself. You
Mm,
just kind of, all right, we'll see.
that's right. Like I said, yeah, we'll talk a lot bit more about the show in a little bit. Also, you mentioned you've been in the business for a long time. It's a journey for you guys. You've done acting, you've done voiceover work. I saw what pushed you into this? What made you jump into the
Oh
entertainment industry?
gosh, well, should we go back to birth? Like, how far back do we go? I mean, I guess I've always been somewhat of a performer. When I was four, I'm actually going back to birth. Wow. I used to stand on the piano bench and recite, nursery rhymes, and my mom and my dad, my sister would just clap, and I'd be like, I'd bow. But then, I did some plays in high school, and then in college, I did not think I was going to be an actor.
Mm,
I worked with kids with disabilities when I was in high school, and was really interested in psychology and therapy, and I just loved the idea of mediating, and then yeah, my cousin was in LA. I went to school in LA. She was doing commercials, and I was like, wow, you can make how much doing a commercial? And I was like, I want to do that. And what do I do? And so she said, well, you should go to an improv class. And I looked up improv schools in LA, and I auditioned for a school called the Groundlings, and I got in, and I just trained there, met some really funny people, got into sketch comedy, and then in the audience of the sketch comedy show that I was in, there were three of like the best commercial agents in the industry. Uh, and the voiceover department was there too. And so I went in for their meeting. They said, hey, let's try you out. There's a
mm.
video game called 24 the Game, and yeah, let's audition you right now. And so I auditioned, and I booked all the North Korean characters. And then yeah, and then I signed with them with commercially and voiceovers, and I did a ton of national commercials. I did like 5 national commercials my first year, and then I booked a bunch of video games, and yeah, and then that just snowballed into, I got into an indie film, which it was my first lead in an indie film called Sake Bomb, which then premiered at South by Southwest, which is like one of the biggest uh, film
Yeah.
festivals in the world. And that kind of brought me to a different level. And it was really difficult being an Asian in this industry, being in the industry for 20 years. I've seen it kind of, it's changed quite a bit.
Mm.
And it was quite a struggle to get anybody to pay attention to a pudgy male Asian American actor. It was a struggle. But comedy was kind of my way in. And I yeah, and voiceover wise, I could do the accent, and that was fun. But yeah, it was a struggle, and it took one acting coach who really encouraged me, Catlin Adams. I will never forget her. She's like a mother to me. Um, who just said, you got something. I see
Mm,
it. You have to keep going. And I did. And gosh, like I'm emotional thinking about it, but it was hard. And without my mom and my dad and my sister, I yeah, wouldn't be where I am right now. They
that's
were so
amazing.
encouraging. Yeah.
Yeah. But actually, that's my question was like family support and everything, like when you tell family you're gonna go into the entertainment industry, some families or parents are like, are you sure about this? This is it's a chance,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
big,
It
it's a
is. It is.
gamble.
It's very atypical, especially for Asian parents, you know. But my dad, he came from a really he well, I guess I can say this. He's from North Korea, and he encouraged me to continue because he said, life is short.
Right.
You have to do what you're passionate about. And um, all this is, for him. He passed away 5 years ago, so I'm just kind of emotional about it. But
I'm sorry to hear about that.
oh yeah, no, but it's so beautiful to feel the grief that I do, for him because he was such a wonderful man. Yeah. Wow. Sorry. Off the gate, just really just intense and emotional.
Yeah. One more dad question then. How was it when he first saw you like on TV or anything? What was his reaction
Oh
with all that?
man, he was so excited. He was so excited. And once I broke into TV, that was really, really exciting for me. He showed so much excitement, I think mainly because he saw how happy I was.
Mm,
And I just know that he was always proud of me, regardless of whether I booked or not.
mm.
And that's just the type of man he was. So
Awesome.
yeah, yeah.
So you mentioned earlier like commercials and everything too. Like I've had guests on and they love doing the commercials. Sometimes they call that the bread and butter. While they're
Oh
waiting
yeah.
for the next project, they're just jumping on commercials.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Like you book one day and then it's just you get the residuals and you're like, whoa, like it really is it's like striking gold when you book one of those. It's been a while since I booked one. And I don't know. It's fun, it's so quick. Um, yeah, yeah. Hopefully there's a couple more in the future. I don't know. If I
So
have
as
time.
right as an actor now, like you've done, you said commercials, improv, voiceover. Like what do you do to like make your craft better and better every day?
Um, Good question. You always have to be training. It is a muscle, and every now and then I'll take a class at UCB just to keep sharp, or you just hang out with a crazy crew like our cast, and you're automatically just doing a show for yourselves because you're yes-anding each other and you're saying stupid things, and that's what it was like on set. Like I can't even tell you the magic that you could feel on set. It was when we were together, it was like electric. There's a point, we're all together in the beginning, and then there's a point where we all kind of divide our characters. And then in like the fifth or sixth episode, I think it was the fifth episode, when we get back together at the Russian compound, I just remember being in the shuttle with everybody for the first time in like a month or two, and Nick just called it out, and he said it like quite eloquently. He said, this feels like homeroom. Like
Mm,
this feels like home, this. And I've been on many sets, and I've never felt that much connection with 100% of your cast.
right.
And see Thomas Howell. Tommy said the same thing. He's been in the industry longer than I have, and he said this is something special.
Mm.
We love each other.
It's funny you say that because I've had Cobra Kai guests on, and they say the same thing about when they work with the big three on that show.
It's
It's
these
like a big
guys.
family. I think
Uh,
it's that chemistry those guys that bring in, I think.
it's these guys, and it wasn't just the cast. It was also the crew that
Yeah.
they brought on. The crew was amazing. And every single one of them. And I just remember talking to our makeup and our hair and our wardrobe, because they're with us the whole time, like making sure we look okay. The wardrobe, it's, they're kind of tweaking us. I mean, even though I had one outfit, I had like 8 different versions because Paul goes through so much.
Yeah.
And it's in the details. You see little things on my outfit, and continuity is so important. And these guys worked so hard, harder than I've seen most wardrobe, hair, and makeup that I've ever seen on set. But with that, especially with what I go through, what Paul goes through, there needed to be a lot of trust, and there needed to be a lot of I needed to feel safe as an artist to be able to truly go through what Paul went through, and yeah, we just kind of had a shorthand. They understood what I needed and they gave it to me. And yeah, it was, the whole experience was like, it was surreal. It was just, it was magical.
Speaking of Paul, do you have like a crazy story about your audition? Because I heard Kimmy, well, Terrence first told me about Kimmy, how
Oh
she
yeah.
Didn't book her right away, and
Oh
then
my.
she's got a toilet accident in her house and everything flooding, and that's when she gets the
Yeah,
call. What's
forgot
your
about.
story? What's your story with your audition?
Oh man, yeah, so I got the audition for Obliterated, and I read the tagline, and I was like, this is very different. Um, and I read the script, and I thought that it was so special. And um, Paul, when I read his breakdown, I was like, okay, this is a big stretch. I'm not this guy by any means. I know Terrence would probably tell you differently. I'm kidding. No, I'm. There are parts of it. There's very much a lot of Paul in me. I'd like to think that um, I'm a little cooler, but I don't know. I think Paul kind of thinks he's cool too. So maybe that's just extremely. It's the same. But when I got the audition, I was excited, and then I looked at the sides and I got scared, because I think it was like 14 or 15 pages worth of sides, lots of monologues. There were 4 scenes, and when you have that many scenes, it's intentional. They want to see what you can do. Each scene shows something different,
Yeah.
and with this, each scene showed different levels of what Paul goes through. I don't know if is the spoilers allowed.
We could spoil it. We've been spoiling it for the
Yeah,
last
so,
2 interviews too.
so
So
you see Paul in different levels of his drugged upness.
yeah.
And as an actor, you're like, like, I don't know if you've seen Tropic Thunder, but you don't want to go full effed up. Like,
Yeah.
and so I was like, okay, let's be subtle about it. And so I did the audition. I worked really hard because you have to memorize 14 pages, and you gotta, it's and then 2 days later, I get a because everything's on self-tape, a retape request. And then
Okay.
immediately an actor, self-deprecating actor, like, I messed up. But in reality, when they ask you to do that, it means they're interested, because they wouldn't waste time on asking you to retape. And the note was, he needs to be way more effed up in episode 3. I'm sorry, in scenes 3 and 4. And so I said, okay, I'll show you effed up if that's what you really want. And I've got this great reader, like he's a good friend of mine. We were like, okay, what can we do here? And I start the audition with my eyes right up against the camera. And I just remember just kind of like going like that, and then actually looking up, and I created this world. Like you know, Catlin's taught me so much as an acting coach. She's taught me so much about how to create this world and imagination. And she was a huge part. A lot of my stuff is green screen on the show.
Mm.
Um, and a lot of things aren't even there
Yeah.
when I'm acting. Like the helicopter stuff with the gremlin, he wasn't there. Like that wasn't, he didn't he didn't exist until like the fourth episode. So the helicopter stuff was just, he was a tape, like
Yeah.
a piece of tape that I had to react to, and they would go gremlin, and then I'd go, and so I'd have to react to it.
Right.
And so it all had to be very specific. Um, and so Catlin taught me how to do that. And so with this audition, I had imagined dragons, and then thinking about, I don't have a daughter in real life, but I had a substitution for that. And like, oh, if I don't save her, then I just, the urgency, and I didn't play drugged up. I played what it would really be like if there was a dragon there, and my sister was taken, and I need to
Yeah.
save her, and it was so much fun. And then and then the fourth one, they had this crazy monologue which they took out of the show, and I actually texted Hayden, and I said, I love this monologue. This needs to go back in. And it didn't completely go back in, but he brought it back. He brought it back in. It's
Mm.
the monologue of it's the rant that I give Kimmy, Maya, that kind of amps her up to do what she's about to do
Yeah.
in the boathouse. It's the, I don't even know if I'm talking right now. Like, you could be a cactus, that it
Right.
was that monologue, and which ended up being a great moment for both of us, and which um, got Maya to do what she was going to do. And then after this audition, I didn't hear anything for 3 weeks, and I was like, oh, okay, so I messed up. I effed up by being too effed up, and didn't hear back. And then a week later, I see the trades. Shelley Hennig books Ava, on deadline. And
Yeah.
I was like, what? I've known Shelley since she was 16. I've known her like before she was even an actress, like randomly. It's just
Wow.
it's random. A dear friend of mine was Miss Teen USA, and I went and I saw her crown Shelley, and I had an interaction with Shelley where like I remember her. She had a Von Dutch hat on, and she was super charming, hilarious as she is. And yeah, and then we just kind of like became friends like through my friend throughout the years. And then when I saw that she booked it, I was like, oh, that would have been nice. Um, and then on that third week, I thought it was a time when I was like, man, I'm getting so close to all these roles and I'm not getting it. I wonder if I should quit. Like I actually thought like, man, this is really like I don't know. I don't know if this is for me. And then that day, I said that out loud. And that day, I get a call from my manager, and they're like, producers want to see you tomorrow. And I was like, what? For what? And they're like, Obliterated. I'm like, what's that? And they're like, it's the chopper pilot. And I'm like, oh, oh. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I have to relearn 14, 15 pages in less than 24 hours. And yeah, and then I auditioned for them. We like immediately just loved the guys. Like we had there was so much chemistry between us. They were giving me notes. They were talking. They were like, do that eye thing again when your eyes like right up against the camera.
Yeah.
And and yeah, and then I call my managers and I say, I think that audition went well. And they said, yeah, it looks like you're testing. It's
Mm.
between you and two other guys. And I said, okay, great. I wait. It's 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, are you sure? And they're like, we still haven't heard. And then the next morning I get a call from my manager, and he says, Eugene, I'm sorry, you're not testing. And I was like, okay, like I'm like 20 years into this, I'm used to that.
Mm.
And he said, they're not testing you. Netflix is straight offering you the role.
Wow.
And I was like, wait, what? 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 And I was like shaking, I was crying, I was like, wait, what? And yeah, and then I moved myself to New Mexico over the weekend for the
I know
table read.
that's what Kimmy told me. Kimmy's like, I didn't even have a suitcase. I had to go buy a suitcase. She only had like
Oh,
24 hours to be on set or
oh,
something like that.
no, I was there when the whole thing went down. It was like
Yeah.
crazy. It was crazy. And then when we finally met Kimmy, it was like, oh yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah.
Awesome. So like and Paul's great too. Like you can tell he's serious about his job. He loves his family too. Always checking in on him. And then of course when he's stoned, the story gets even better. I don't want to give out too much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love Paul, and I identify a lot with him. Paul, he's the Air Force chopper pilot that brings the crew
Yeah.
around. He's a straight edge, sober guy, and you know, he he just wants to do the right thing. He struggles with balancing work with family, which I think a lot of people can relate to. I've been getting a lot of love on social media. It actually really touches me when people they send me messages under my posts, and they say they love Paul, or they identify with him, or that they made him cry, and they made them cry, or whatever. But I think it's because I think people connect with him because they understand it's really hard to juggle the moments of like the trials of life. You have
Yeah.
work and family, and in the beginning, he can't seem to fit family in with his work, and then the alternate happens later, and yeah, no, I love Paul so much, and I love the opportunity that the guys gave me and the writers gave me to do what I did with Paul.
Did they bring anybody on set to like train you to like how to be a pilot pretty much? Like any tips or
Yeah, yeah, Steve Stafford. Uh, he's the one he got the helicopter is owned by Vince Gilligan, who's the showrunner for Breaking Bad.
okay.
And the first thing Steve showed me was the fact that it was signed by Buzz Aldridge. And I looked at that, and I looked at this massive helicopter, and it was weird because when I saw the helicopter, it was almost like meeting a cast member. I can't
Mm.
explain it. It
Well,
was
he's
like
part of you. He's part of you, the
it was
helicopter.
part of me. That's
Yeah.
absolutely right. And I walk up to it, and I'm like, I almost like felt like saying hi. I was like, hi, hey. I was like, so you're the vulture, And um, yeah, like was my scene partner. Um, and and when I saw the Buzz Aldridge signature, I just remember I should not have asked this, but I was like, so how much is this thing? And he's like, it's about $7 or $8 million. And I was like, oh, okay. So this is what I'm gonna be in, like for most of the season. And he said, yep. And you know, yeah. So I remember telling him, like, I'll take good care of her. Yeah.
What's your favorite Paul moment you think in the series or
Oh my
scene?
gosh, there are so many great Paul moments. I mean, the freak out in the helicopter. I mean, multiple freakouts. I mean, me screaming at the team, like, was so much fun. Um,
About hugging the cactus there.
the hugging the cactus was hilarious. For me, I think my scene with Kimmy, where I kind of tell her that she could be a cactus, is a really great moment. My gosh, I mean, the sniper rifle, like shooting across that lake, was really fun. I mean, oh, the best moment it was my moment with Caesar Augustus, when he turns to me and
Mm.
talks to me in Latin. That was really, it's an iconic part of
Yeah.
Vegas right there, and I've passed
Right.
that statue so many times in my life, and I would have never thought that I would ever do a scene where they would block off that atrium and block
Mm.
off ballet for me to do a TV show for Netflix, the biggest
Right.
platform in the world. Really, it's just unreal.
Mm.
Yeah.
If we get a season two, is there anything you would change about Paul or add to his character?
No, I mean, I love his idiosyncrasies. I love every bit of him. I don't know, maybe he could. I don't know. I would say he could be, he could let loose a little bit, but I kind of like how he's a little, he's a straight edge, kind of like, he's got a,
He's serious, serious.
he's very serious, and but it's funny too, the way he's
Mm.
serious. So, yeah, like, yeah, there is a bit of me in him. I mean, I think even when we were doing tactical training with the guy, with the guys in Shelly, like, it was just, they would laugh at me because they would turn to me and they'd laugh because
Mm.
I would ask all these questions. I'd be like, so I would, because I wanted to get it right. So I asked every single question, and the moment I would raise my hand, like, T and Nick would just bust out laughing because it was a very Paul thing to do. Yeah.
Now, from the cast and working with the cast, like, is there somebody that if we see season two that you get more scenes with that you didn't get a chance to work with in the first season?
Mhm. Um, they did a really good job with kind of with uh pairing us up, in in different episodes. I mean, Tommy, that scene with Tommy in the beginning was my first experience with Tommy, where he grabs my face and I didn't even know he was gonna kiss me. He had actually, he was asking me, "Hey, Eugene, I think I'm gonna try something." And I remember saying, "Don't tell me what you're gonna do, just do it. You have my consent, just do whatever you want to do and let me just react naturally." And we did that in one take. And I remember John with his eyes bugging out, being like, "Oh, that was amazing." Like, he was like, "That was insane." Like,
Mm.
yeah, we're moving on. That was it. But I would have liked to work with Paula a little bit more. We have a moment in episode 8 together, which I love because I mean, I don't know, it's just such a badass scene in the helicopter. Yeah, I'd want to work more with Paola. I think we didn't really work that much together. Me with Terrence and Nick, we had our own episode together, which was so much fun. Arguably, maybe my favorite episode, just on set wise. That was just so much fun to work with those guys. We have so much chemistry.
So this season was Las Vegas. If we see season two, where are you hoping for will be? You think it'll be Las Vegas again, or you think it'll be somewhere else in the world?
Well, from what I hear, they want it to be kind of like, kind of like White Lotus, where it's in a different location in every season. So
Yeah,
it's a different mission, or
right.
even a mission where we're just together and then it just happens. I think that's still kind of all up in the air. There are rumblings about Miami, but I'm not sure. Obviously Ibiza would be kind of like a cool, like, party destination, but maybe too on the nose. Maybe going the complete opposite of like a party city,
Yeah.
like Paris, or like someplace refined. I don't know. That's a really good question. I think, yeah, probably something like Paris, but that might be shooting really high.
That's awesome. So Eugene, now what's next for you now? Now you just soaking this in, or are you still auditioning, or you have another project coming out that you're allowed to tell us about?
Yeah, I'm gonna be the lead of my own show, limited series next year. I haven't auditioned for it yet, but it's coming. I'm just putting that out there. But no, yeah, as of now, I think, the strike has kind of been kind of put a pause on things, but things are getting really pretty crazy right now. So yeah, I've been pretty busy this week.
That's awesome.
They're playing catch up, so
There you
I
go.
expect something soon.
There you go. Eugene, now how can the listeners and the viewers find you on social media, keep up with you?
Yeah, so I am at Eugene Sam Kim on both Instagram and now on Twitter. I'm just starting that up again. So
There you go.
yeah, look for me.
That's right. Eugene, this was great. Good luck. Let's get a season two. Let's get you back on the show or any other project. This was great.
Let's do it.